Hey guys, welcome back to Trailin' and Scalin'. I know it's been a while since I've posted a longer video. You can probably hear in my voice. I've been sick, just haven't really been able to record the audio and stuff for a couple videos I have planned with the Gen 8. And I don't know, we'll see if I really get through this whole video. I just wanted to do something because I got these guys really excited for these awesome trucks and some fun new stuff going on the smaller scale that I wanted to talk about and show off to you all. So I'm just going to do a quick and dirty, no real editing or anything, and just talking about these cool trucks. So yeah, this one probably looks familiar, all the rage right now. TRX-4M Traxxas Bronco. Not a whole lot to be said about it that you don't already know, except that I do love this truck. I've been blown away with how awesome it is for the price, $150. You know, there are only a couple things about it that I think Traxxas should have done differently, or that I would have liked to have seen differently. But overall, it's just awesome. I really like the details from a scale perspective. It's so much better than any of the SCX-24 trucks, in my opinion. Just the details are great. I like the size of 1/18th more than 1/24. I kind of always have. That's why all my trucks have those like RC four-wheel drive 1/18 bodies on them. And I even think that the FCX-24 is really more of a 1/18. I don't know why they marketed it as that. So yeah, I really love the scale. I love the look of this truck. The performance is awesome. I do wish that they had included bearings, at least in the axles, right off the bat. I'm a little suspect of all the plastic gearing, but maybe with stock motors and stuff, it won't be a problem. They do seem pretty nice. I wish there was an interior. You know, being more into the scale side of things, I was really kind of let down that they don't have an interior, even just like a Lexan molded cover or something in there. But, you know, we can maybe fix that in the future. Maybe we can find one that'll fit it, which is actually one thing that got me interested in this truck. So yeah, over here we have, this truck's been around for a little bit longer, I think, but I haven't seen a whole lot of videos or anybody really talking about it. This is the EazyRC Bronx. EazyRC is, I'm pretty sure, the same company as FMS. Seems like they share pretty much like all the same basic designs, same basic construction, you know, links and the axle centers and stuff on all their 1/18ths. I'm pretty sure it's just the same company. Don't really know why they have, you know, there's like EazyRC, Rock Hobby, and FMS, and they all seem, they're the same company to me. You know, right out of the box, I do really like the looks of this truck. It is really, like, the color. That's one thing I didn't realize from seeing pictures, and I can't even get it here. Maybe you can see that sort of metallic look. It's really nice yellow. It's not just the school bus yellow that it looks like in pictures online. It's a really cool metallic. I think the details are spot on, just as good as the TRX-4M. You know, the body lines and all of this. This isn't an officially licensed truck, so maybe it's not as exactly truck correct. But as far as just really nice looking details, I think that it's pretty spot on. I actually like the bumper more. It has this cool like lower skid that I'm pretty sure the real truck has. I like that it comes with a full-on spare instead of just this little dinky plastic thing. I guess this looks more like what it would look like from the factory, but you could never fit one of these spares inside of that, and so that's a little bit, I wish it had a full spare on the TRX-4M. Does have a really nice interior. I mean, full-on dash, steering wheel, 4 seats, SUV cargo area back there. You can't see the wires for the tail lights, but excuse me, I think I could probably glue those down in a way to make them not very visible. I do like how this has the two-toned, and this is just solid. I'm honestly not that familiar with the real truck, but I'm pretty sure the two-tone is more realistic because they have like the removable tops and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think out of the box, just aesthetics, it's kind of a wash. This one is a little bit longer wheelbase, which I was kind of surprised by. When I looked like at measurements online, I thought that I had read that they were the same wheelbase, but you can see there's about half a centimeter, maybe a whole centimeter of difference there. And it's a lot more apparent, like when you look at the bodies from overhead, you can see the difference in the wheelbase. I'm not sure which one is more actual scale correct. It's really not a big enough difference to matter. The only reason that I'm a little bit annoyed by it is because I was kind of hoping that I could get some of these fender well and interior parts and fit them inside of here. I think that's still possible. We can always, trim the inner fenders and slide them together and, get it to fit, I believe. And I think the difference on the interior is going to be so minimal that it would just probably work if you maybe slice off a little bit of the back. But that'll be a future project. I'm not really expecting to hack this up. I'm just probably going to try to buy those interior parts and put them in here, or maybe one of the other FMS trucks like the Firehorse or something. So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick little demo here and show these cool trucks off. Maybe we can do some comparison. I think, like I said, body wise it's probably a wash, whichever one you like more. I think I go here because I'm more into like the scaleness of already having the interior and having the full size rear tire. I also really love this, like the opening hood to get to the battery and the switch to turn it on and off. It makes for a nice location for the electronics, and also, puts your electronics and battery and stuff all up front. Whereas on the Bronco or the TRX-4M, you have to pop the body off, and the only way to turn it on and off is to unplug and replug here. And the battery is in the middle and the ESC is in the back, and so I think this truck probably has a little bit better weight distribution, especially if you were to take off the spares. So I mean, actually thinking about that, I like that the FMS has the lights in the actual light buckets instead of just in the bumper. So I think if I were going to choose one just on aesthetics out of the box, I would probably go with the EazyRC. I think I do like it better. I like the stance here, but that's more of a tire selection and suspension thing. Not as details. Speaking of tires, these are pretty well-known tires that come on like all of the Rock Hobby EazyRC FMS trucks. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of their 1/18 scale trucks. And they're not terrible, but they're not great. Like, from what I've kind of read in other places and seen videos, they're kind of like better than the stock axial tires, but not as good as any of your upgrades that you would change to. Versus these, I've been really impressed with these TRX-4M BF Goodwrench tires. I like that that's a real scale tire. I don't think this is. I'm pretty sure it's like a Wrangler, but it doesn't actually, it's not licensed. So as far as tires go, I would say give it to the Bronco for sure. It is cool that the Bronx has true beadlock wheels versus these are just, you would normally glue them on, but they don't come glued. And I haven't glued them because I'm probably just going to change out wheels and keep these tires. In fact, if I'm gonna do some comparisons, what I might do is put the same tires on both trucks. Like if I were gonna do like a comparison on some different features and stuff, because I do have 2 full sets of these Endura Crawlmaster tires here, because I bought them to put on the 6x6, and then I wound up going with the Power Hobby Trail Warrior instead. And these are a pretty good tire. It might actually be a downgrade from here. I'm not sure. These are stickier and softer. So who knows? But if I were going to do a direct like head-to-head, I think I would want to not let the tires be a weak point, and I would rather put them on the same tire. But to do a little bit of comparison while we're here, I will, demonstrate maybe the electronics of the trucks. Like I said, I really like this hood on the FMS, but when you look in here, man, that's a bare circuit board and a bunch of wires. It's really not awesome. And I wonder why they don't just use, the electronics from the FCX24 in all of their trucks. Or even if you look, 2FMRC recently did a video, I think he posted it this morning, of the Rock Hobby Firehorse, and it has different electronics than this, and it's just like, I don't know why they don't do the same electronics in all of them, rather than some of them having this weird open circuit board kind of deal. So, the first difference that I would say is the sound. When I first started driving the TRX-4M, I was a little bit annoyed by it being loud, mostly because all of my trucks are on brushless, or at worst, like a Fury Tech on a brushed motor, and so they're totally silent. And then this thing, back to making that whine, it's not as bad as a stock SCX24, I'll give you that. And so I thought, man, that's annoying. I don't like that sound. We're going to have to do some work on that. But then I opened this guy up, and wow, I now really appreciate the sound of the TRX-4M, because this is terrible. Like, that horrible squelching. To be honest, I don't think I'll even drive this truck with these electronics. That's just unbearable. I do really like the remote. It's like the perfect size. It's not like super tiny, and like these ones, they won't stand up or anything. Well, I say that, but they're really small. I like that you can, they're nice, but they're a bit too minimal. I really think the shape of this one is way perfect. It's really comfortable. I can drive it one-handed. It stands up. It's perfect. It doesn't have any features, really. You can just adjust the trim, and that's all. No other channel or anything. It looks pretty nice. It has these weird lights there. It's kind of lame, but whatever. And so, I don't know why that's flashing. Maybe my batteries are low, because I stole these batteries out of that, so maybe they're low. Anyway, so yeah. Versus the TRX-4M, man, I don't like this transmitter. It's big, clunky. It doesn't, it's one thing to have like a full-size transmitter like your FlySky GT5, and you've got multiple channels, and I can drive multiple trucks on it, and it's really comfortable. I can't really drive it one-handed. I do that with my right hand. I drive like this a lot. So it's not perfect, but the size is kind of made up for with all the features. Versus over here, it's like, okay, we've got a 2-position radio, or a 2-channel radio, not even a trim to adjust or anything. Oh wait, no, there's steering trim, and it's just big and clunky and meh, and I hate this thing. So anyway, so I'm gonna say, electronics is a little bit of a wash, because this one's so loud, I hate it, and this one has the terrible transmitter that I hate. So pick your poison. The Traxxas is probably better. because the clunkiness of the radio, you know, no big deal really. It's just a preference thing. So, and then we can kind of show the difference in crawlability. So this thing does slow crawl reasonably well. Like, I think that it's better than an SCX-24 out of the box. It's pretty slow in both directions. Seems reasonably not really that torquey, you know, when you hit a feature like my hand here. I have to really ramp up the throttle and then it kind of jumps. So not great, but not horrible. The TRX-4M, on the other hand, you know, pretty smooth, a bit slower, I would say. Nice in both directions. This is stock gearing, by the way. Let's see how the torque compares. Kind of a similar deal, you know. I don't think there's a huge difference there. I would say this one's slightly slower. Torque seems about the same, and it's not a huge difference, other than the sound is much more quiet over here. So, which a week ago, if you'd told me I'd say that about the TRX-4M, I would have said you were crazy. Let's have a look at the steering then. This guy, we know, has notoriously tight steering radius. This is nowhere near as tight as that. I could do a measurement maybe in a later short video, but just kind of looking at how the servo works, you can see it's quite fast. And it does, you know, turn the wheels pretty well. Let's kind of, the one thing is, it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of torque. Like if I hold it, you know, I can pretty much keep that from moving, versus over here, if I do the same thing, this one's, I think it's a little slower. Not dramatically slower, but maybe they're about the same. Hard to say. I think this one is a little slower. But if I hold it, try to, you know, get it in a bind, you can see it'll move the whole truck. Which when you're crawling technical trails, that's really good, because you can kind of, you know, if you get the wheels hung up, you can push the truck around with the servo. I think the stock servo is definitely better. So we know it has a really tight turning angle, and the servo seems to be a bit more torquey. So we'd have to give that to the Bronco, TRX-4M Bronco, I should say. The other thing is, pretty difficult to get this body off. I mean, it's not difficult. It's 4 screws. I left one off right there. And then you have to unplug the lights, which I think is the trade-off that you'd make for getting lights like in the body instead of just in the chassis, and that's fine. One thing that's really weird, so this is chassis mount servo versus this is axle mounted servo. This truck has 4-link, they both have 4-link suspension up front, but this one also has a panhard bar, which is super weird. 4-link plus panhard, that's not even like, that's just not a suspension setup that makes sense. Typically, if you have a panhard bar, you don't have the upper link on the side of the panhard that connects to the chassis. So I'm surprised that this doesn't bind, which it doesn't, so it does work. It just seems very weird and useless, and I may pull that off and see if it makes any difference in terms of how the truck drives and how the steering works. So that's really weird, you know, but as far as comparing the two trucks, it's kind of a wash. You know, if you want a truck with, if you want the most performance, then obviously this steering or the axle mounted servo is the way to go. If you want more scale, then this is definitely more scale, more like a real truck. And so I generally do on a scale build. I think it's cool to have a panhard 3-link with a chassis mounted servo, because then it's all just tucked up in there and hidden. one cool thing to know is that there are some bearings in here. I don't think the whole thing is bearings. I haven't taken it apart. I also don't know about the gearing, but at least there's definitely a bearing right there, whereas the TRX-4M is bushings all around. So I'm optimistic that there might be some other bearings throughout, because I know that some of the FMS trucks do come with full bearings. So we'll have to take it apart and see. I guess another kind of performance-oriented thing, we should look at the flex. You know, the TRX-4M has pretty damn good flex right out of the gate. Like, you just, I mean, let's see how many tires we can get. This is, you know, stock truck, no changes, and we're gonna get 3 tires. No, we're gonna get 2 and then some. So that's pretty nice. Let's see what we get with the Bronx from FMS or EazyRC. Not great. Basically 1 tire and then some. So, you know, 20 millimeters left. I will say, I think this truck is oversprung, because if I do that until this is about to lift, you can see I still actually have quite a bit more travel left in the front. So I think if you soften the springs, you'd end up, you know, pretty close. Still not as much, I don't think, but not nearly as much of a handicap. So we got to give the flex to the TRX-4M for sure. But I think with a little bit of mods, this one could be improved. And you can see, you know, these just sprung friction dampers, no oil or anything, versus this is just so nice. So suspension wise, TRX-4M all the way. And yeah, that's kind of about it as far as just initial impressions. To be honest, if I were gonna buy just one truck, I would recommend the TRX-4M. The price is only about $10 different here, and the things that this does better are really purely aesthetic and personal preference type things, like having the interior, having the opening hood, and the lighting and stuff like that. Those are like pretty small things that it should be pretty easy to modify over here and not spend that much money, versus over here, to make up for the shortcomings, we're clearly gonna have to do some suspension work. Probably just gonna change the electronics out entirely, because that's another thing, is that servo. As much as I do like the looks of this hood and the function, it's kind of hard to open. That is a 5-wire servo, not a 3-wire servo, so kind of blech. So yeah, if I were only gonna buy one, I would get this one, and then I'd get some parts from the inside of this, and I'd make them fit in there, and I'd be happy. And I honestly wouldn't change much else about this truck other than to put in the low-speed gearing, which is one of my biggest angers with Traxxas, is like, why in the world didn't they just ship it with the low-speed gears? Because everybody wants that. But, you know, I guess they're just going to nickel and dime us for $5 gears. I don't know. Over here, you know, I can see this being a cool project. I have some fun ideas. I'm gonna swap out some electronics. I think I might just start kind of stealing stuff off of this truck, because as you can see, I haven't made any progress on it. I just haven't really been that motivated, not really that interested in it. It's a cool chassis, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not into building these sort of like comp oriented builds. I like more like cool scale things, so I just like haven't been that motivated. So what I think I'm going to end up doing is taking these electronics, putting them over there. Another really fun idea I have is, because these FMS trucks and Rock Hobby and EazyRC trucks all use a lot of the same parts. If you look at how the axle mounts here with these like double ball end, well, look at how these portals mount. Exactly the same. It's even the same hardware. So I'm thinking, I mean, it's even the same drive shafts, or at least very, very similar. I'm thinking that I could probably fit these portals on this truck. Width looks pretty similar. It may be a little wider if I put the portals on there. I'm thinking I can fit these portals on this truck. Maybe run it full droop so we get rid of those hard springs. And we might have a pretty cool little rig, you know, looking super rad Bronco with portals, and then upgrade the electronics. It'd be like a actual miniature TRX-4, because, you know, the real TRX-4 110 has portals. So that's kind of the idea I have. I'm gonna do some messing around this weekend and see what I can do, and we'll do some run videos of the two trucks together and all that sort of thing. And then I'm excited for Thanksgiving. I'm gonna take my trucks. I'm gonna go visit my family and see. My brother has 2 or 3 SCX-24 trucks, and hopefully we can get a whole bunch of people together and do a big family crawl and maybe get some cool footage from that. Anyway, I know this is kind of a rambly video, doesn't really match a lot of what I've done up to now, but just wanted to get something out of there quick and dirty, and because I hadn't posted in a while and I'm still really not feeling super well. So yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.